Hi everyone, and welcome back to another casual beading tutorial. Today we're going to be using the Bargain Bead Box from January 2025 called the Dusty Rose Collection, and we will be making a memory wire bracelet. So as far as the supplies that you're going to need for this, you are going to need to start off with our memory wire. I have already just a cut portion of memory wire sitting here, and that's only because it's already left over from other projects. But what you'll end up wanting to cut off, just depending on how large of a memory wire bracelet that you want to make, how many loops around your wrist, you'll need to cut off however many loops that is, plus a couple of inches for either side. So the beginning and the end. So I have, what is that, 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 or 3.25 loops left over on this one, so I'll just end up using that. And then supplies from the Bargain Bead Box, we're going to be using the 6mm Peak Rhodonite faceted beads. That's going to contain most of my bracelet. I'm going to end up doing 3 layers. I'll do 1 layer of this guy, a layer of this guy in between, and then another layer of this guy again. So I'll end up doing 3 layers, so you'll need, if you follow along with me, you'll need more of your faceted beads, the 6mm. Then we're also going to be using the 8mm Rhodonite rounds. With this layer, the Rhodonite, the 8mm round layer, I'm going to be using the bead caps, the rope accent bead caps found in the box as well, on either side of the 8mm beads. For accents in between everything, I'm going to be using some Miyuki seed beads. This is the silver lined root beer color. If you're interested in the Miyuki number, it is number 29. So if you have those set aside, then you can pull those out as well. I'm also going to be using just as little charms on one end, possibly on 2 ends, but you know, just kind of depends on how I feel at the very end. But I'm going to end up using some of the medallion drops. So at least one of those, I've got 2 out. I may end up using a couple, like 2 or 3. And then I've got some jump rings to help me attach these medallions to the ends of the memory wire. You're also going to need some memory wire cutters. I highly recommend using memory wire cutters. If you use any of your other cutters that are like this, they're going to get used up and ruined very quickly if you do a lot of memory wire bracelets or memory wire working. So I highly recommend getting a pair of the memory wire cutters. They save you a bunch. The other thing that I suggest is have some sort of round nose pliers, bail making pliers, something along this sort, and that's only for if you want to do what I'm doing. I like to curl up the ends of my memory wire and create a little, just a round coil at the end, and that's where I add charms if I want to, if I choose to do that. But that's just how I choose to start and end off my memory wire. You can also buy certain beads that you can glue onto the ends that are called end caps that only have the hole on one side. You just put a little dab of glue in on the end of the memory wire and then stick your bead on there. You can buy those too, or if you have them in your stock, you can use those as well. It's completely personal preference on that. So that is the supply list. So if you want to gather up all of this as well as a bead on it board, and then meet me back and I'll show you the first step. Alright, so now that we have everything out and set and ready to go, we are going to take our memory wire, and if I can get this to focus, there we go. The end of the memory wire, it doesn't matter which one. If you like to do what I'm going to end up doing, then get your bail making pliers. This is a 6-step bail making plier, and I'm going to use the second step. So it's the one up here on right now on the right hand side. So the one on the left hand side right now is the smallest, so this is the second smallest one. I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to create myself a little coil. So I'm going to go and put the memory wire in between the pliers. And when you rub your fingers across the wire right here, you want to move your wire to where when you rub your finger across it, you don't feel it. So it's still in between the two wires there, but you still don't feel it. So you want to grab a hold of that. I always twist in the same direction as the memory wire itself. I feel like this helps with it not breaking. And what you want to try to do, now this is kind of tough. It does need to have a little bit of muscle behind it. But you want to try to make 2 or 3 rounds. And it's kind of moving around on me a little bit, so the loops are not 100% perfect. But I'm getting there. 2 or 3 loops. And I always try to have the end of my loop sticking up. I don't know if you can see that. Is it focusing? There we go. So I have the end of my loop sticking up. So that way you're going to be beading this way, and if this is rubbing up against somebody's hand, then it may not be very comfortable. So I'm just going to go and make myself a little divot that way, so that way it sits a little bit more in the middle of the loop. And then now we can start stringing on our beads. Now with this first portion, I'm not even sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, so this is going to be kind of on the fly. I'm going to start off with the 6mm beads, and I think I'm just going to do 6mm and then a bead, a seed bead, and so on and so forth. And I am just picking up these gemstone beads in any order, so that it's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily picking out certain colors, because this strand was a mixture of more of the pink and the tawny colors, so more of a lighter, more neutral colored brown on this strand. So I'm not really doing anything specific other than just picking up whatever's sitting next in line. You can be, if you like, be more specific and pick up only the brown colored ones and maybe do a gradient with the colors. That's always a possibility. You can do something similar to that, because there's plenty of different colors to choose from. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get these beads, enough beads on here to where it wraps around at least once. And I typically do it just once with a little bit extra, because it also depends on whoever's wearing it, the size of their wrist. I do like to make memory wire bracelets for my tables when I do events, because they tend to go a little bit quicker. They tend to sell a little bit faster, only because, especially around the holidays and everything, when everybody's trying to find gifts for other people, and you may not know somebody very well to sit there and say, hey, what's your wrist size? I want to get you a bracelet for Christmas, or something like that. This is a good option for someone like that. And they just know, oh, she likes pink, or this person likes pink really good, really a lot. And that bracelet is pink, so I'll get her that bracelet since it's memory wire and you don't have to worry about the sizing. So memory wire is always a good option to have, especially if you're making gifts or if you are selling and you don't know what the person's wrist size is going to be that is planning on purchasing it. So it's always a good option to have available. And I'm getting close to having a full turn. So you can see the beads are over close to right here, and I need to add probably about 2 more beads, 2 more 6mm, maybe 3. And then we'll check it again and see where that's at. Oh, and my kitty cats are starting to yell at me. It's getting close to dinner time for them. So my cat's sitting outside the door and yelling and meowing at me. Okay, so probably 1 more will fit 1 complete circle. So I'll go ahead and add 2 more. And then a seed bead after it. So I have a the seed bead after the, what am I thinking of? The section. I did not want to start with a seed bead because sometimes the seed beads can get stuck. Even though we're doing a loop, sometimes the seed beads can get stuck down there and they don't work out sometimes. Or they may, just depending on what you're doing and everything, they may just kind of get in the way. So I usually put a bigger bead at the very end of whatever type of beads I'm trying to use. So now you can see that we have a little bit more than 1 loop on our first round. So now we're going to go to the second round. So the second round I'm going to continue to do the 11 OC beads in between. Trying to find the end. Where did it go? There we go. But on this one, yeah, I do have a seed bead. Okay, I want to make sure I had a seed bead. On this one, I'm going to add one of the bead caps on either side of the bead. Now here again, I'm not going to worry about which one I'm picking up. I'm just going to pick up one at random, and then that way we'll have the bead caps on either side. And then we'll put an 11 seed bead. Now sometimes some of these bead caps have kind of a big hole. So every once in a while you're going to end up with a section that it may look like that you don't have a seed bead in between. If that's the case, if that bothers you, you can always switch to 8/0 seed beads, or you can use a different product from the box, like the black tourmaline that we got. You can always use that. But so far, it's kind of working out. Just so you see a little bit of that brown shimmer in between the 2 bicone or the 2 bead caps. So we're going to continue to add these. I'm picking these up and adding them this way just because they're a little bit bigger, and I don't want this to all flop around on you. I probably should get these beads a little bit closer over here so I'm not having to reach completely across the field of view, which probably would be helpful for people. There we go. See if that helps any. And then we'll just pick up a bead, a seed bead in between. So let's test this out and see exactly where we're at. Yep. And my husband and daughter are home. They went grocery shopping. So they are now home. So if you hear a bunch of banging around, it's probably them putting stuff up in the kitchen. So that is about 1/3 of the way around. So hopefully these 10 beads will be enough. And if not, we can always go back and add extra to it. But I will see. I will see what happens. So we are on bead cap again. And then try to make sure that I'm picking up 1 bead cap. Some of these bead caps are kind of stuck together. Had to get them to pull apart a little bit. but they came apart, so it was just that they were just stuck together. Casper's in there growling and barking at Michaela, my kiddo, because it is time for food. And he is letting her know it is time for food. Alright, let's see if we put these last few on here. Got a couple more of these combinations to put on. And then we will see where we stand. And I may have to get some more of my 6mm out when we get to that spot and that point, because I don't think I have enough of those out to finish another full round. With the memory wire. And I may get done with this and I may just stop and say, okay, we're done. I like it. This actually looks like it's probably going to be just about right. And this pattern, you don't always have to follow this. You can do your own pattern. That's the good thing about making your own designs and everything. You can always just do whatever you like. You don't have to always follow the patterns. So it looks like this is about a little short as far as the whole turnaround is concerned. So see how it's just a little short on that side? So I think what I'll end up doing is I think I'll actually count however many beads I have here, so I can do the same amount of beads on the other end, so that way it's the same. And then I will go ahead and cut and count those beads and string those on, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how we can fasten it off. That way I can go help put up the groceries right away too as well. Meet you back in a minute. Alright, so now I have all my beads on the bracelet that I'm going to use. I ended up using 27 of the 6mm faceted Rhodonite beads on that first section over here. So I counted out another 27 and then just did the same thing where I strung a seed bead and then the 6mm bead after that. So now I have everything on here and it's looking pretty nifty, if I do say so myself. So that's what it looks like. So when you put it on your wrist, it's going to make it look like you have 3 bracelets on, when in fact you only have just the one. So it's turning out pretty nice. I like it. So now what do you do when you get to the end and you have this section of your memory wire left over? You can leave all your beads on the end of the memory wire and then cut it off afterwards. That could be another option you could do as well. I didn't think about that until just now. But of course I only had just this little small amount left over. So either way works, whatever's easiest for you to do. But what I'm going to end up doing is using about 2 fingers width of memory wire. Wow, that was hard for me to say. And then go ahead and cut at about that spot right there. Now this is just me guesstimating, so if this doesn't work out, then it is what it is, and we'll figure it out from there. Now I'm going to use my bell making pliers again. I'm going to use that second step on the pliers one more time. So I'm moving everything around so I can put the wire in between the 2 jaws of the pliers, and then holding tight and twisting and trying to keep this as even as possible with a little bit of arm strength behind it. Yeah, this is a little long. So 2 fingers widths was probably a little too much, but that is okay. we're working with it. And then once you get close to that last bead, you want to make sure you have just a little bit of wiggle room there. It's just like any other bracelet that, or any other jewelry making supply, or bracelet, necklace. That's what I'm trying to say. That you're gonna make. You always want to leave just a little bit of wiggle room whenever you're working with any type of wire or anything like that. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did back in the back and the front, where I use this part of the plier, that smallest one, and then just go backwards with it, and then that makes a little bit of makes your loop look more like it's centered more. Now my loop is kind of wonky. It's off to the side a little bit, so you can always take your pliers and try to see if you can bend it a little bit more in a straighter fashion. But the biggest thing that you're looking for is to make sure that that end of your loop is still on the upper side and not on the lower side, meaning that it's not down here on this side of the loop, that you want it up here at the top. Darn it, this loop is... There we go. So you want it more up here at the top and not down here, because down here is going to be touching your skin. Up here won't be. So then that is your bracelet complete, unless you would like to add some charms to it, which I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put it on just to see what it looks like, because I'm eager to know what it looks like for sure. On the wrist. That looks pretty cool. I like that. That worked out really well. So you've got something that looks like you have 3 different bracelets on. Okay, so now I'm going to add these little, what are they called? Medallion drops? Yeah, medallion drops. I'm going to go ahead and do a little cascade, and I'm just going to attach it to one of the sides, probably the one that I started off with, which would have been this one right here. So I'm probably going to attach it to this side here. So I'm going to do a little cascade. So I've got 2 sets of pliers. I've got flat nose and then needle nose pliers. I'm going to open up some of these jump rings right away, just to make it easy on myself, because I'll need 1 jump ring apiece for each of the charms. And then I'll need 1 jump ring to attach it to. I am moving this around like crazy. There we go. Alright, so this one, I didn't have to open up all of those. Oh well. Hindsight's always the best thing, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to add on a jump ring. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, so that's going to be number 2. So we're going to make a, and then you just twist it back closed and wiggle it back and forth until it's closed. I don't know why I did that, but I did. I opened up way too many jump rings. So I'm going to add another jump ring to the other end of this one. Go ahead and close this one up, and then I'm going to close up that second jump ring a little bit better. And I'm forgetting to add my charms. Okay, well, I'm going to close this up, and then I'm going to close up the other one, and then we're going to reopen it and add on the charms. Let's see. I'm having to wiggle these. These are just jump rings I had in my stash, and they've been kind of deep within my stash, and it's probably because these don't close very well. As to the reasoning why they're deep in my stash. So I'm kind of having to help them along and get them to close a little bit better. Alright, so now that last jump ring is going to end up being the one that we attach to the product. So let's see if this is going to work. I don't know if I want to add... I'm going to twist this back open one more time. don't know if I want to add all 3 of these or if I want to just do 1 or 2 of the medallions. Come on, get in that space. Thank you. Close that one up. And it may be just kind of a little... I wonder... Is that going to look right? Or should I... maybe... I'm trying to do kind of a cascade effect, but I'm not sure if it's going to turn out the way that I'm wanting it to turn out. So let's just keep going, see what it does. Maybe it'll be a happy little, not necessarily accident, but just a happy little event. And actually work out. I'm probably going to drop this in a second. I feel like it's slipping out of the pliers. Okay, there we go. Probably should use a little bit bigger of a jump ring also with these guys, because these are thick jump rings, but the charms are also kind of thick. So the amount of room in the jump ring is diminishing quickly. And then add that 3rd one to here. And I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a messy charm, but I think it worked out okay, maybe. Not sure if I'm still 100% into it, but we will take our jump ring, go ahead and add it onto the bracelet first. Then we're going to add on that, whoops, then we're going to drop everything. We're going to try this again. Let's go ahead and add on the charm first. Let's see, where's my top charm? Okay, so we'll put the charm on first, then we'll put it on the bracelet. That worked a little bit better, because now I can grab this and drop it again. Oh my, oh my. Day in the life of working with jump rings is sometimes fun. Oh my, come on, stop it. Now I lost it completely. Okay. The struggle of using jump rings is always fun. Okay, now work with me. You can do it. You can stay on there. If I have to have a pep talk with my jump ring, I will. Come on, you can stay there. Pliers, you can stay and hold it on. Ha 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 ha. Come on, we just have to close up now. Get to the opening. Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully I'm not boring y'all doing this. If I am, I apologize. Alright, let's try this again. Okay. This jump ring I may have to kind of finagle off screen, because it's on there. It's just being a little difficult. Alright, so that has our little charm sitting there. So it's going to kind of flop around in different directions and everything, because there's just a blank side on the charm, and then you've got the little medallion side on the other side. So it still works. It's just gonna flop around a little bit and just gives a little bit more dimension, so that way if your bracelet ends up on this side of your wrist, then you can see the little charms, and if it ends up on this side of the wrist, then it's on this side, and you can feel it up against that. So that is the bracelet complete. So I want to say thank you for watching, and keep a lookout on my Etsy page, because this bracelet will be on my Etsy page in a couple of weeks or so. Not quite sure of the name yet, but I'll give it a name and set it up there on my Etsy page. So if you are interested in purchasing this bracelet, you can always go there, and I would greatly appreciate the help with that. And as well as here on YouTube, if you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button. Leave comments down in the comment section below, and I always like to hear from you, see what's going on in your world, and to see what type of videos that you want me to do in the future. If you like these type of videos, then great. If you want to see something different, then please feel free to write a comment down below. So thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button if you like this, and if you want to see some more videos from me, then hit that subscribe button. Helps my channel out greatly. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.